It's now time for Party Chat Sports.
The only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
Welcome back, everybody, to Party Chat Sports. I'm your host, Gill. We got our other two hosts here, Drew Nelson and Dillon Schroeder. We'll see if Cam is able to join us. He was on our yesterday's episode. Make sure you do go back and give that one a listen. The first time that we've done something Ohio State related, and it sucks that that was the first Ohio State episode, but it is what it is. The three of us, Drew, Cam, and myself, each got a lot off of our chest, but that was a good episode. I thought make sure you go give that one a listen if you haven't already. But let's get to the NFL. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope everyone did have a great Thanksgiving. There was football. I'm not going to go out and say it was all great football because it really wasn't, but there was football.
It's fantastic. What do you mean?
Yep.
It was bad.
Sure.
It was not good to watch. It was boring.
Yeah, it was not a great Thanksgiving for football.
I know you're a Big Ten West fan. You like punts more than offense.
I like low scoring, single possession affairs. That's nice.
Always betting the under for Iowa. I think wasn't the line not? I mean, we're already slightly getting off track, but like their line was 24.5 for their last game of the season, and it still hit. The under still hit. I think it was like 23 points that game.
I think it was 24. Yep. And
it was like right there. But to the NFL, to Thanksgiving, the first Thanksgiving game of the day was Packers-Lions, and everyone just kind of pegged the Lions as like, yeah, they're going to win this one. Nope, the moon wasn't the right phase, and it's Thanksgiving, and it's the Lions, where, they lose football games in Detroit every year. And they did against the Packers, who they're starting to come on. It seems like Jordan Love is starting to look a little bit better as the season goes on. What are you guys' thoughts on that game?
Wouldn't be Thanksgiving without a nice classic Lions L.
Seven straight losses on Thanksgiving for the Lions. I think it was
something like that.
I mean, that's all I can remember. Really, you think about Thanksgiving being at my grandparents' house and watching the TV with everyone who was all they were all Lions fans, big Lions fans, and it was watching the Lions lose in the most. Sometimes it was close, sometimes it wasn't. Most of the time they were getting screwed by a Ndamukong Suh penalty or something. But always a good time to watch Calvin Johnson out there doing numbers and still losing. So
I think my favorite one. I think my favorite one in that was I think it was against the Texans. I'm pretty sure this was Thanksgiving, where the running back was down and he got back up and started running and scored the touchdown. Jim Schwartz threw the challenge flag, but touchdowns are already reviewed. So it kind of like canceled each other out. They just penalized the Lions for throwing the challenge flag. And even though that running back was clearly down, because they threw the challenge flag, the Texans were awarded the touchdown.
That's crazy.
That was a while. Yeah, Jim Schwartz. But
the Lions, the Lions just always were getting screwed by stuff like that, just all the time. They couldn't get out of their own way, and when they did, everything else around them couldn't. They couldn't get anything to go their way. It was quite funny to watch, to be honest, especially as a non-Lions fan. I'm sure as a true diehard Lions fan, that was, asinine.
Especially for the year they're having. We gave them all the praise in the world last week on the episode of how great of a season they're having.
That was our fault.
Just welcome back to the mean. I guess for them, I don't know if that even is the mean. I don't know where the
they're
mean
way
is.
above the
They're
mean
still 8
right
and
now.
3. They're still 8 and 3.
Right. I mean, that's just getting them closer, right? Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, we've kind of had it a couple times. I think they've lost 3 times. Baltimore, whatever, we'll give it to them. That was a butt kick into probably the best team in the NFL at the moment. But the Seahawks game, kind of like a classic Lions L, where they come off a great win in Kansas City and just lose to a Seahawks team that's not looking all that impressive at the moment. And then a Packers team that, Gill said you said they're on the rise, but I mean their wins have come against a team coached by Staley, so that one doesn't really count. And then obviously the Lions, and they lost to Matt Canada-led Steelers. So, I don't know who the Packers are. I don't know that the Packers are all that great, but definitely not a great win for them. Bad loss for Lions fans. Like, you already hate the Packers, and to just lose to them again on Thanksgiving in a time where your team was clearly better, roster wise and season wise. You've been having a better season, then you lose to Jordan Love in your house on Thanksgiving. That's a bitter one to swallow right there.
I think at some point they were just bound to lose, and it just sucked that it happened on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think they were probably bound to lose, but they kind of gave this game away. I mean, they had a fake punt on their own 20-something,
Dan
and
Campbell,
it wasn't
baby.
even a good fake punt. It was the freaking
It was
fullback dive
yeah.
fake punt.
Nope.
Like, that was never gonna work.
It went to the side that all the Packers players were on.
You should have just
ran
ran
right
a
into
normal play. You should have just ran a pass with
Yeah,
Jared Goff instead.
there's being aggressive, and then there's being dumb, and that falls into the dumb category. Like,
Dan Campbell has more dumbs than he has aggressives, I feel like, and he'll get celebrated for his aggressives. But
they were working out, especially in that Chargers game. He was very aggressive, and they worked out. But if you're gonna keep doing that, obviously it came back to bite you against the Packers. If you're in the playoffs and you're trying that and you don't get it, you're screwed. So you got to figure out when to be aggressive, and probably fullback dive fake punt on your own 20 is not the time. If you're going to do it, just do it. Just say, I'm better than you and we're going to get open or something. Don't do that dumb, stupid fake punt sweep. It wasn't even a dive. It was fullback to the side.
Yeah, it was a stretch, bro. It was a stretch play.
Fullback stretch.
That was dumb. And they were playing behind pretty much immediately. The Packers immediately marched down the field, scored.
Goff, man.
Lions
What's going
answered.
on?
Goff?
He's
The last couple weeks have been iffy.
Ball.
He's streaky, man. He's streaky. He's like, Lions fans hate him. Like, at least the ones I've talked to. Like, they don't like him. They always call him Golf. They're like, man, we got to get Golf out of there. But it's like, it's weird for Lions fans, right? Because they've always had a terrible team with a really good QB. I call Matthew Stafford a really good QB, as in, like, super talented. Kind of like what Justin Herbert is right now. Talented, can make a bunch of throws, never wins. Not quite the same because the Chargers, not on the Lions though. Kind of similar, not really similar, kind of similar. And now they have a good team, and their QB is not Matthew Stafford, so they don't like it. But he's an above average QB in the league. He is top 16 easily. So
he was doing really good until the last few weeks when he forgot how to keep the ball. Whether it's throwing it to the other team or fumbling on a strip sack, feels like that's happened to him quite a few times. If he
the
can
season
stop doing
ended,
that
would help. If the season ended today, Lions would host Seattle in the playoffs, first round.
So it'll be a rematch of week 2.
It would, but I don't think Seattle will end up making the playoffs. Just bold opinions looking at their upcoming schedule.
The 49ers have a tiebreaker over the Lions.
Yes.
I think the Seahawks make it simply because the rest of the field just
is awful. I'll give you that much. It is terrible.
But being down 23-6 at halftime was always going to be difficult to back from, and they made it a game late, but just too little, too late for the Lions. I don't think there's much more to say on that game, but I think, unless anyone else has something else to add, we can move on to Drew's game, where the Cowboys. It started like it was close. Like it seemed like you guys were up. It was like 20-10, or something like that for a good amount of the game, and it just seemed like Howell might get back in this. He might get back in this, and then the floodgates just opened there in the fourth quarter. It was like late third, fourth quarter, and from there it's like, oh, what the hell just happened? Like in a blink of an eye, it went from 20-10 to, final was 45-10. It
Yeah.
felt close.
That's usually how it goes.
I left a Thanksgiving party when it was like 20-10, and then I got home and saw the score and I was like, damn. So
Yeah. So a couple things to touch on. Obviously, big scoring game. Eventually, it was 20-10 for like most of the third quarter, and I was like, dang, what's going on here? DeRon Bland, NFL record setter. 5 pick sixes in one season. Never been done before. That's pretty
actually
incredible.
insane. It's insane.
He should be getting more Defensive Player of the Year hype.
Yes, his odds have increased greatly. I think he's probably 4th or 5th in
It's
the
crazy
odds.
that he's 4th and 5th. Like that is an NFL record that is
NFL
very
record
hard to attain.
for scoring touchdowns. Like
on defense. There's a couple guys on pace to break the sack record, and that's the popular thing, right? Getting sacks on defense. But like, dude is just to the crib all the time.
Yeah, almost every time. He has 7 interceptions, and 5 of them went to the house.
That's
crazy.
Insane. It's like how MVP is a quarterback award. It's like Defensive Player of the Year is just automatically like edge rusher award. And like the defensive backs kind of get put on the back burner, and Bland should be higher.
I still think he has a good chance. If he can maybe get a couple more interceptions, definitely. But his coverage ratings have been good as well. It's not like the Diggs year where he had 11 interceptions, but he was giving up yards. Bland has been pretty locked down for the most part, and he's getting NFL record in pick sixes.
I think if the sack record is not broken, he has a really good chance. If the sack record is broken, it's kind of unfortunate for him. It won't happen. Whoever breaks the sack record is going to win it. That's just how it feels it's going to go. But
that that was exciting, and watching it real time, and a lot of people have talked about what's his name, the broadcasters at
was it Eagle?
No.
It was
Al Michaels, is that his last name?
No,
is
it
that
was
his name?
Was
the
it
broadcaster?
Tony? Was it?
Who's Tony's partner?
It was Oh, I can picture him. I know. CBS NFL.
Jim Nance.
Jim Nance, yeah.
Why
Jim
can I
Nance,
not remember
Tony
Jim
Romo.
Nance?
Jim Nance and
That
Tony
is-
Romo on the call.
That's embarrassing. No one.
Yeah, that is very
Cut
embarrassing.
that out. Cut that out.
No record of that.
Yeah, the
We all knew it was
Jim
Jim Nance. What are you talking
Jim
about?
Nance call was great. For the record, Bland comes up, grabs the ball, and Jim Nance is like, "Here it is." For the record, it was electric. And then,
wasn't he saying like go, go, go?
I don't know, but
I think
I
Tony
mean,
was.
he was coming up on Sam Howell, and I was like, no man, just let him go, and he jukes Howell out of his shoes, and then there's 2 defenders left. I'm like, no, he's gonna get tackled, and he dives in between them. Man, it was an electric way to break the record. I was like, just let him get there. Just, you guys are losing, just let him have it. But he got it anyways, so that was cool, and it couldn't have happened to a better guy. A lot of his story is kind of getting released a little bit, and he wasn't a high recruit at all. I don't think he had any stars, maybe a 1-star recruit, 1 offer. Gets drafted. I think we took him in the 5th round, and just the video of him in the locker room afterwards, and it couldn't happen to a more humble guy. I mean, he had a big smile, but he didn't have any, a whole lot of words to say about it other than he was grateful for the opportunity and all that. So really good to see a record set. Good to see a record happen by a good person as well.
And am I correct in saying that he was originally a slot corner, but when Diggs got hurt, they moved him outside? Is that accurate?
He was supposed to be with if Diggs was healthy, he would have been slot over Jordan Lewis. Obviously Diggs.
So he's playing a little out position.
Yeah, he had a little bit of experience on the outside, just in like blowout games and whatever. But yeah, he was supposed to be the slot, had to move outside. And I made the video, the Trayvon Diggs, I don't remember what it was titled, emergency video.
Yeah.
And I said, we need Deron Bland to be our savior. And he stepped up.
Yep.
He stepped up. So
he's been the savior.
Don't
even remember who Diggs is at this point.
Who?
Who needs that guy?
Imagine if we had both. 10 touchdowns.
You wouldn't have Bland, bro. Bland wouldn't be here. So
he'd be in the slot. He'd be fine. Anyways,
butterfly effect.
What else? Beautiful game by Dak Prescott again. MVP Prescott.
He needs more MVP hype too.
He does.
I hate giving Cowboys all the
credit,
but
he won't unless he beats the Eagles. If he beats the Eagles, he's going to skyrocket in the night.
Yep.
Well, when Jalen Hurts ends the season with 25 rushing touchdowns, they'll probably give it to him. But
25 rushing touchdowns for 25 yards.
Yeah, I just want to speak on that. I don't know if you guys saw this. I don't remember if I sent it, but there's a stat. It was Dak and Jalen Hurts, and it was Dak has 2 rushing touchdowns. Jalen Hurts has 11. The yards gained on those, Dak has 28. Jalen Hurts has 33. So, a little bit different story. Anyways,
I do find the humor. I do find the humor in people being like, "Oh, he's going to match Cam Newton." Cam Newton was different, dude. Cam Newton was.
Dude, I hate that he's getting Cam Newton.
Like,
no, I hate that. I hate that so much.
I like Jalen Hurts, but Cam Newton was different.
And even people were saying like Cam Newton did have a bunch of like short yardage touchdowns. Yeah, he did, but he wasn't getting pushed over the line.
No,
he was pushing himself over the line.
He was trucking 3 dudes flying. At a time. Yeah.
That dude was Superman jumping.
Yeah,
he'd get hit by 2 people in midair and still make it. No,
completely.
He was
different.
built different.
He was like if Josh Allen was better at running.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's close, just the way like the size is probably the closest like quarterback to Cam Newton, physicality wise.
Cam can still shoot you out of your shoes. That's the crazy part.
And the arm talent, like Cam Newton, like I don't think that gets talked about enough. That dude had a cannon.
Yeah, TJ Watt in his career. Sad.
It did happen actually. Yeah,
but,
it's unfortunate how that worked out.
Great game, great celebration in the Salvation Army kettle, pulling out the turkey legs, dude. That was awesome.
How long were them turkey legs in there though? That's what I
want. They were
wrapped
in tinfoil. They were still warm, probably. So it was good. It was good. I know. I bet Jerry liked that. He probably paid the fine for him to do that. So.
Probably.
Yeah, it was good.
Another win over against a losing record team. Yeah,
could have been the Lions and lost. So
it's true.
You gotta play your schedule, and like I've been saying, we'll get a chance here with the Seahawks, Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, Lions. It'll be a nice little run to see what happens.
Yeah, they should do pretty well on that, I'd imagine.
Let's not forget. The Eagles had a cakewalk last year as well, so you don't exactly need a hard schedule to make the Super Bowl.
Don't tell that to the Steelers or the Vikings or any other.
Well, it helps if you're also not a fraud. So you have to be
that does help to be good at the game of football when you go about things.
You have to still be good.
Having an easy schedule, you got to take advantage of it.
I think it's fair. Like I see a lot of people saying, like, "Oh, you guys haven't beat anyone good." I think that's fair. but also like if we weren't beating up on the bad teams, you'd be like, why can't you beat up on these, scrubs? Why aren't
Yeah,
you
I mean
smoking
you're at
these
that
scrubs?
step, right? You're expected to beat the bad teams, but you're also expected to beat some good teams, and they just haven't done that yet. They have an opportunity, so you'll just
They
have
got a
to
lot on deck,
we'll just have to see how they finish out the season. That'll answer all of that criticism, either yes or no. If they don't beat these teams, then it's going to be serious question marks, and Jerry World will not be a happy place, I'm sure. But if they do beat them, time for the playoffs. Hopefully, you don't get San Francisco.
He said that Thanksgiving game was one of his favorite days, even rival. How do you say this word?
Rivaling.
Rivaling. There we go.
It
Right?
doesn't sound right, but I have no
It's
idea.
not feeling right coming off the tongue, but that's definitely a word. Rival.
can't-
Yeah, it's definitely rivaling.
It's
Um,
It doesn't sound right, but I think
rivaling the Super Bowl. He
I don't know
he
about all that.
definitely had a huge crush on Dolly. Is what
Oh,
was going on.
that dude stopped paying attention after halftime.
I was gonna say it's been a while since he's been in a Super Bowl, but yeah, that makes sense.
Seeing
anyone
Dolly
seem
out there
sneaky? Never
was
mind.
his Super Bowl. He's good.
I'm
All
not
right.
going to make any comments.
I'm good.
Let's
Good
go over.
win. I loved it. It was awesome.
All right, this game did not feature Dolly Parton. It was just terrible. 49ers, Seahawks, and I'll be honest, I got home. I was in a food coma and just slept through most of this game. 31-13, Niners over Seahawks. We've already kind of mentioned how Seahawks aren't that great. Well, the 49ers, best team of the NFC? I think so, and they had a dominant performance on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I mean, they you kind of expected it. The band is back together in terms of the Avengers being formed. So yeah, they went out and they put in a good performance and they won. I don't think like Purdy didn't have out of the world numbers, didn't have to. I mean, they just they were scoring. Seattle, I've never been high on Seattle all year, and even last year I've never been high on Geno. And they're just the cracks in that team are showing. I think they're at a ceiling to where Geno can only take them so far. The defense is, and I saw a tweet earlier that said, the Seahawks, their defense was the youngest in the league last year. So you would expect that defense to be much improved this year because they played all those young guys. But that part hasn't happened. I haven't watched a bunch of Seattle games, but that's what I'm hearing. So question marks for that team. Devin Witherspoon's awesome, at least. But yeah, that's an L. And looking at their upcoming schedule, I had sent into the chat the playoff. I was playing with the playoff predictor, and I just did the autofill for teams with the highest winning percentage winning out. Then was messing around with it, but that had Seattle finishing the year at 8-9 because they run the absolute gauntlet for the rest of the year. I can pull up their schedule here real quick.
Oh, good Lord.
It's brutal. It is absolutely brutal. Yeah, they go Cowboys, 49ers, Eagles, LLL, and then they got at Titans, Steelers at home, at Cardinals. So a lot easier last three than their next three. But I mean, they're gonna get pushed around in the next three games. Probably lose all three, and that would put them at. If they lost the next three games, that would put them at 6-8. Yeah, you're a 6-8 football team at that point. So that's why I was saying, like, I think Seattle's going to crumble here, and they may fall out of the playoffs. And who knows if they actually do or not, because the teams behind them are the 6-6 Vikings, the 5-6 Packers, the 5-6 Rams, the 5-6 Saints. So who knows who comes out of the bottom of that NFC? But the bottom of that NFC is going to play the 49ers and the Lions. And so they're that's just going to be a tough game. And then the Cowboys are going to play in Atlanta or whoever wins the NFC South. That's just, I mean, you can't make it up any better. Cowboys are going to get a losing record team in the playoffs to continue their streak. Absolutely wild, but
I want it so bad because that allows us to go to Philly for the next round. I want that.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think that's all that needs to be said about this game. Further games will prove more about each of the teams. Probably prove more of what we already know.
Yeah, Drew, you got anything on this one?
Find out next week. Eagles, Niners. We'll
That
see.
is going to be
Huge.
fantastic. I
Huge.
think.
Is that just a normal 1:00 game?
God, I hope
It
not.
can't be.
It's a 4:25 game.
Who-
I
who-
feel like that
who-
still should be like
who are the-
that should be Sunday.
Has
Sunday
the game
night is-
flexed anything? Has the league flexed anything yet? If not,
They
this is
flexed
absolutely
something. They flexed something. I don't remember what it was, but they
How
They
flexed
is
put
this
a
something.
game?
worse game alongside the what game would it have been last week? Who played in the 425 slot on Sunday last week? That was a big game. It would have been Eagles Chiefs.
Eagles Bills like this past week was Eagles Bills at
Eagles,
425.
Bills, Browns, Broncos.
Okay, then there was
Rams,
that one.
Cardinals.
They moved a game up and put a worse game at 425 so that more people would watch the good game.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
nothing's been flexed into like prime time or whatever.
yeah, this is who is the
I don't
prime
think
time
they're
game?
going to.
Who is the prime time game next week?
Sunday Night Football is. I just had it up. That's
KC Green
Chiefs-
Bay.
Yep. Which
Chiefs will never be flexed out of prime time. So,
and
oh
the
well.
Bengals Jaguars are Monday night. Like you couldn't
I
have
don't think
moved.
I don't think you can flex a game into Monday.
Maybe
I don't
not.
think they're really flexing on a prime time anyways because it's like they give teams a certain amount of prime time, like whatever.
Well, they give the Chiefs
And
a bunch of prime
425
time.
is basically prime time on a
Yeah.
Sunday.
If it's like the only yeah,
It's
I mean
one of three games.
that's going to go up against what Cleveland, Rams, Carolina, Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So that's
everybody-
one's
basically,
all eyes
watching.
are going to be on that.
yeah,
49ers
that's
Eagles game.
basically prime time. So
You will never see the other games on Red Zone unless 49ers Eagles is in commercial break.
Yeah.
Or it's like, hey, here's a touchdown.
Or if the studio burns down.
here's
and
a
they
Bryce
left-
yeah
they
Hey,
leave
here's
it
a
on the
here's a
other.
Bryce Young interception and we're back to Philly.
Yeah.
Let's take a brief moment to just say our thank yous to Scott Hansen, who truly is the GOAT,
He is the man.
staying in there, telling everybody, no, you can leave. I stay. I'll hold down the fort. This is the people
Legend.
need this. And
Legend.
God bless him. Legendary
Well, I
stat.
think-
I mean, he was already a
I saw
legend.
what happened. Like because they had to leave for a second, they left the game on when
Yeah.
it should have been turned off because it was the only game remaining, and they have those rules where they
Yep.
can't show it. So if someone just pulls the fire alarm every week when there's only one game remaining, they can just leave it on for the people.
That's hilarious.
Scott Hansen is for the people. I saw one thing that was like Scott Hansen pulled the fire alarm so that he could finally take a bathroom break during Red Zone and nobody having to know about it.
They probably made him go back in there, even if it was a blazing fire. They're like, we can't leave the game on; it's breaking our TV, rules or whatever. And they're like, get back in there, turn it off.
Get fined millions of dollars.
Yeah,
Anyways, some people that should have been fined millions of dollars, I think, is anybody or is Amazon Prime for making us watch this Miami Jet game
Amen to that.
at
That
3:00 on a Friday.
Yeah, everything about that was just weird, dumb.
Ugh.
listen. I just listen. These games were selected when Aaron Rodgers was supposed to be the quarterback.
I
It's true.
understand.
We know
But
what
still,
happened there.
why-
We know what happened there. But
That's
I
not
saw
the
the
point.
reason the Jets were selected was because New York is the retail capital of the world or something. So Black
Yuck.
Friday, retail shopping, New York. There you go.
Hey,
There's
Jets,
your
you have
Black
some
Friday
black
game.
uniforms, right? You could just wear your black uniforms during that, and
On Black
it'll all be
Friday.
good.
There you go.
This was trash, absolute garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, who would have thought that taking out Zach Wilson, putting Tim Boyle was not going to fix everything?
Weird.
And the
Yo,
Who-
what if I
who
told
would've
you
thought?
week one that Tim Boyle was going to start for the Jets? Or preseason week 3. Tim Boyle's going to start for the Jets this season.
You
wouldn't have been
you would have
entirely
said you would have said week 18 after the Jets clinched a first round bye, right?
part of me would have said that. The other part of me would be like, you know what? It's the Jets.
Man,
At
I
this
just
point, anything's
can't.
possible.
Just can't, man. The expectations of the season versus what it is now. You're forced to watch Tim Boyle absolutely get dookied on by the Dolphins at 3 o'clock on a Friday. I mean, that sucks, man. That sucks.
Yep. Time's a flat circle. I mean, we're getting to the point of the year where it's like, all right, do we cheer for losses? Do we cheer for wins? And then you're going to get a couple dumb wins that come that don't mean anything. They're just going to impact draft position. It's like, oh, we have a lower draft pick, but we had a couple more wins to end the year, and we're going to end on a high note, and we're going to take that into the offseason. And then we're going to win the offseason. And then we're going to get to next year in 2024, and something terrible is going to happen early in the year, and it's like, oh, this team sucks. Time's a flat circle. It's been the same.
I'm sorry, Gil. I'm sorry.
It's what it is.
Maybe next year.
Yeah. The defense is cracking too, which
they gave up. They gave up in that game.
When you play 80% of the total snaps, probably going to get tired.
It happened last week against the Bills. It happened this week against the Dolphins, and it's still a good defense, but you're going to get tired. And when you realize that, oh, you're the ones that are going to have to win the game, and when you have a pick six, Tua throws another interception the next drive, and you throw a Hail Mary that gets taken back to the house. What do you do?
That is so demoralizing.
Right. You had a pick six.
The defense is watching that and just like,
oh my gosh. It was
I would be
10 to 6.
mad if I was a defensive player in the Jets. I'd be so mad.
They should all revolt, honestly. Like, what? The Jets are wasting their careers. And I feel sorry for them. Anyone that wants to leave, I wouldn't blame them. It is what it is. Dolphins, again, they're like the Cowboys. They just beat another team that doesn't have a winning record, so good for them. I'll take questions, but I really don't have much else on the Jets. We can move forward.
I don't got any questions for you. Just my condolences. Just my
Thank
condolences.
I mean, yeah, it's getting to that point where it's like there's nothing else to say.
Fire up the drafts. Fire up the mock drafts, Gill.
Yep. Offensive lineman is what we're aiming for. All right,
all 7 picks need to be all 6 picks need to be offensive line.
So let's get to Sunday. Colts, Buccaneers. Gardner Minshew, man.
You are out of order. Stop. You are out of order. New Orleans, Atlanta is next.
I know what I did there.
What a crappy game to talk about.
Yep, I went off the spreadsheet and was just going off of the Google itself because I look at the stats on Google, and then
you're out of order, my friend. It's New Orleans at Atlanta.
All right,
2 games between 2 losing records.
Yeah, that was another battle in mid
for the right to get destroyed by the Cowboys in the playoffs.
It's true.
Derek Carr,
terrible.
Right.
He was good until he got anywhere near the red zone.
Yeah.
I saw a stat.
20s, he was fine.
I saw a stat that the Saints have not drafted a first-round QB in 56 years.
Was it like Archie Manning?
I don't know, but that can't keep happening. I don't know where they keep getting all their money either, but you got to get rid of Derek Carr and get some money, and then you need to blow it up. I mean, this is
they should have blown it up a long time ago.
Yeah, they just keep
around in gold,
they just keep
gold
kicking
and black
the can.
purgatory.
Yeah, they keep they keep kicking the can down the road. And they need to pick up the can and hit themselves in the head with it and
the dead end is here.
Yeah,
the end of the road is around.
I don't think
such a bad
Dennis
team.
Allen isn't the guy. Derek Carr is not the guy.
Who would have thought that Dennis Allen wasn't?
I think your defense is getting old. In my eyes, at least your big time guys with Cam Jordan and Lattimore is getting pretty old. And
Chris Olave's got to get out of there, man. He can't, but his career is going to get salted away, unfortunately.
Yeah. Just let Jameis just keep throwing bombs, 50-50 balls.
Yeah.
Hey, 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. Yeah. He was still scoring touchdowns. That's still wild. Like, imagine if half those
That is so many.
interceptions, half those interceptions turn into touchdowns, he's the MVP that year.
That is so many. Anyways,
Yeah, this miserable.
hey, at least
Bijan
Bijan,
Robinson,
at least Bijan went crazy finally on the fantasy team.
got some action.
So
I also love the sky camera that they have there at the Falcon Stadium because you get like overhead shots that nobody else gets.
and he just
And-
jukes people out of their shoes. Yeah.
Yep.
Only
I
for
saw the-
Bijan.
I saw the overhead look of the the Derek Carr pick six. That was kind of sick.
I did not see that.
It was kind of nice. Aside from it being a pick six for Derek Carr, I mean, the play itself. Nobody deserves to win this division.
It's so bad.
It's
It's
been
so
bad.
bad.
It's been bad. Like, didn't Tom Brady make it at 9-7?
Yeah, this
Or
division
it would have been like
hasn't been
9-8
good.
or
Yeah, this division hadn't been good in so long. Like a top to bottom type of good, kind of like the AFC North and some other divisions. Like, when was the last time it was good top to bottom? Probably when they had Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, and like Drew Brees, and then Tampa Bay was kind of dookie at that point. I mean, they had 30-30
would be
Jameis
like,
Winston, I guess. So it's been a while.
I mean, a couple of
I mean, the Saints were pretty dominant for a long time.
the issue with the Saints,
Like you said, the Saints were really good, and then the Matt Ryan, Julio Jones Falcons were good for a little while there.
Panthers were good up until like 2016. Like
They
the
were
year-
bad for a while, and then they got Cam Newton and became legit. They went 15-1, and then then they went downhill.
the year after the Super Bowl, I think, was like their last good year. The Saints, the irritating thing with the Saints during like Drew Brees' time is like when the offense was great, the defense sucked. Like I remember picking up quarterbacks in fantasy that were going up against the Saints defense that week just because I knew that was going to. They were terrible, and then the Saints defense finally got good, and it's like, oh, Drew Brees is getting old.
Yeah, he's
So like they were
38
dominant.
years
and
old now, and they ruined it.
You see what he said about his arm?
No.
Or what he said about his
Yeah.
arm? How he can't even move his arm, really. Because I think
Healthy.
it has a lot to do with the surgery that he had a long time ago. And then just playing.
Oh well, yeah.
This long?
His shoulder was basically torn to pieces, and he had it completely reconstructed, and then played in the NFL for another decade. So yeah, I can't say I'm surprised.
He was saying like he can't even like really move it. Besides, I think that's really the last
He
thing.
couldn't even move it in his last season with the Saints. Let's be honest.
No, it was like watching Peyton Manning in his last year with the Broncos.
Ducks everywhere.
Big Ben.
Yeah, just can't throw the ball farther than 10 yards.
Speaking of Big Ben, that was probably the last time the Steelers had a 400-yard offensive game, right? Was when Big Ben was there?
Week
Up
2 of
until this
2020.
Sunday?
Week 2 of
Up until
2020.
this Sunday,
You're right.
when Matt Canada, first game not there with the Steelers, is the first game since 2020 that the Steelers had 400 yards of offense. They did it against the Bengals. 16-10 win for the Steelers. How are you feeling, Dillon?
See you later, bum. Dude, I'm so glad. You just knew he was sitting on his couch, like, rooting for Kenny to throw, like, 4 picks. And they put up, like, 420 yards or something like that. And it couldn't have just – it couldn't
The memes
have
are great,
been
by the
better.
way.
The memes have been fantastic. That Office one where they, like, fill up the whiteboard and it cuts to Andy. And it's like, it took him one day. I mean, that was just – I laughed out loud so hard. I was actually at this game. I was in attendance. So the jersey is 1-0. And the jersey is 1-for-1 on 400-plus yard offensive performances. Yeah, just so good to see. First play of the game was like 30 yards down the middle to Freiermuth. I didn't know throwing in the middle of the field was allowed in the NFL. Actually, I thought it was banned because that had vanished. Like Kenny hadn't done it all year. Like one pass is crazy. And yeah, Muth goes for $120, leads the league in receiving this week. Fantastic to see. Yeah, the points weren't there. It was still a 16-10 win, but 1 for 4 in the red zone. A drop touchdown by Deontay where he actually had like 3 feet in, wasn't challenged, wasn't reviewed. that 7 points, next play, Warren fumbles, and it gets taken the other way, and Deontay Johnson's just walking around on the field. Just an absurd effort in the worst kind of way. I mean, that dude is such a diva. He learned from number 84, the best there ever was at being a diva. He learned everything he ever knew. Because I'm over that guy. I'm over Deontay Johnson. He whines and he cries and he moans.
Drops the ball.
And he gets an opportunity and he drops it every single time. I mean, he just passes clank off his hands in the end zone. It's impossible for him to catch it. So I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of his crap. But good receiver. You know, he still made a couple plays this one, but I'm ready for him to go. I'm ready for this to become George Pickens' wide receiver room. And we get some compliments to that. Freiermuth being one of them. I'm so glad Freiermuth's back. So overall, yeah, couldn't be happier for this game. I think they checked pretty much all the boxes. Najee had 100 yards, and then on the final play had a 2-yard loss, so ended up with 99, which is just so unfortunate. But he was back. I mean, he looked every bit as advertised. You know, this is a game that Warren really didn't do much in. And Najee took over. Kenny was dropping dimes in the bucket, just deep ball after deep ball. Just like, wow, it's crazy that we have a quarterback that can throw downfield, and he looked like a new man. Like the chains had been released off of his arms, and he could just do it. Yeah, he looked great. 278 through the air. I didn't even know he could go that high. Yeah, so 16-10 against Jake Browning. But the points will come if they keep getting yards. You know, you keep getting to the red zone, you'll start scoring more points. You're not going to go 1 for 4 in the red zone every time. Hopefully,
that was my question. How'd you get over 400 yards? You scored 16 points.
Red zone fumble by Jaylen Warren. Starting with
Jaylen Warren so many fantasy leagues this week.
Yeah, that was bound to happen. And then, like at the end of the game, drove down the field to kill the clock, and then just took a knee like in the red zone a couple times. That's like 70 yards of offense right there that just went down the drain. The red zone fumble, and then going 1 for 4 in the red zone and kicking 3 field goals. I mean, they were moving the ball constantly, and then just kept getting stopped just a little bit short there. But yeah, poor Bengals that they don't have Joe Burrow this year. They were primed to make it to the playoffs and make a run, and now their season's over. But Pittsburgh's upcoming schedule looks very favorable. You got teams like the Cardinals, the Patriots, the Colts upcoming. So this team should make the playoffs. I think the percentage is 83% right now, and I would love to see the offense continue to move in the right direction, continue to stack wins. And hopefully get prepared and kind of lock in the 5th seed. I think that's what they're looking at right now is the 5, which would mean a date with either Jacksonville or Miami in the first round. I think I'd rather have Jacksonville, but nonetheless, yeah, I mean, that's going to be a legit game, and you don't want to get bounced in the first round. So use these games to get right, get on a roll, stack some wins. Hopefully you're playing pretty good by the time you make it to the playoffs, and you go from there. Pretty big 180 in the last week, and I've been saying it all year to fire Matt Canada. So Steelers finally took my advice, and it was for free. I didn't get paid a dime for my advice, unfortunately. But I'm happy. I'm happy I got to leave that stadium from a win instead of a loss. So
that would have been so miserable for you had you guys lost that.
Yeah, it was, and it was cold and rainy. It was like 30. It was like 47 degrees and kind of like a drizzle. I was up there pretty high too, so I did sit next to a Bengals fan who said the NFL was rigged. So he said he believes it's rigged for the Jaguars and the Texans this year. I don't know what to make of that. So,
I think that's
he needs to just stop watching, man. I promise it.
Like yeah.
Something. It's not worth it if you're down that bad. You think the Jags and the Texans are getting the league rigged for them, man?
He watched Stroud throw for all those yards and was like, "Man, the NFL, they're gonna rig it, and it's rigged."
Rigged. It's rigged. They're letting
I don't
Tank
know.
Dell get wide open.
Yeah, I can't believe it. So, no, it's a fun game. Glad they got the win. That's it. That's all I got. It was a fun time at Paycor Stadium.
Kenny Pickett redeemed.
I got to see that every single game for the rest of his season, and then we'll see where Week 3 takes us. But
what if he finishes the season with less touchdowns than Tommy DeVito?
Does he have more wins? Listen, Deontay's dropped 2. George's foot missed another one. I mean, Kenny's realistic touchdown number is probably closer to like 11 right now instead of
realistic
whatever it is.
Numbers are his actual touchdown numbers. That's how that one works.
Okay, well, look at Kenny's theoretical touchdown numbers at the end of the season.
He's gonna have more than Tim Boyle and Zach Wilson combined. That's for sure. So.
Ooh. That's the bar.
Yeah,
really?
It is the bar. It is the bar.
That is.
No, the
it's
bar.
Not saying much.
Listen, the bar is one. He's got to just finish with more touchdowns and interceptions. Let's just start there. He didn't do that last year. He just keeps playing well. I mean, I sent the graph too. He in like the tiers that the Computer Cowboy puts out. He was up top on the right. I've never seen him up there before. That was just insane to me. I've never seen that. That was awesome. Made me happy. I'm going to start him in Madden again. I had benched him on my Madden team because I was so upset. Had to start Malik Cunningham. That didn't go so hot. But he's going back in the starting lineup. He's partially redeemed. Winning always is the cure to everything, though. So
Drew, you still got to play your game, by the way.
I will after this.
All right. You already mentioned how the Bengals fans thought the Jaguars and Texans were getting the NFL rigged for them. Well, that's the next game.
Great transition.
And this is what's to come in the AFC South for the next couple of years. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a fun battle between these two teams. Trevor Lawrence, CJ Stroud. I actually kind of like what Trevor Lawrence said because that's kind of how, more teams should look at it. Is like, I don't want my division opponents to be good because if they're good, I mean, we want to be the better team in the division. We want everyone else to be bums. These two teams are not bums. I think both these two teams make the playoffs. It's just a matter of who wins the division and who is on the road wild card round. And getting the win this week was Jacksonville after the Texans missed the game-tying field goal, if I remember correctly, right? It was Matt Amendola. It was like a long one, too.
Do they play again this year, or was this their second meeting?
I couldn't remember. I'm going to
I think this was the first.
I hope it's...
All right. Because, I mean, right now, Texans are sitting at the 8th seed at 6-5. Jags are now 8-3. So it's going to be hard for Houston to win that division. I think Jacksonville, 8-3 record at this point in the season's really good. That's a lot of ground to make up. But sitting at 6-5 in the 8th seed, the Colts are 6 and they've already split this year.
The Texans beat them 37-17 on September 24th. So that looks like 3.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that was DJ's first win.
Yeah, so you're 2 games back and you don't play them anymore for the rest of the season. So I don't think Texans win the division, but Colts are sitting at 6-5 in the 7th seed. Browns are 7-4 in the 6th seed, and then the Broncos are right behind them at 6-5 also. So they could get as high as the 6th seed. I think. I mean, they could get the 5th seed too if the Steelers don't win some of the games that they should. But 6th seed is very realistic, and definitely the 7th seed. Yeah. So I wonder how many times will they play the Colts the rest of this year because they're both 6-5 in the AFC South.
They end the season playing each other.
Okay.
And the Colts beat them week 2, 31.
So yeah, they're gonna want to definitely win that. But I think looking at those teams, the Broncos being at 6-5, we kind of talked about them. Potentially they fizzle out. I mean, it'd be really hard to win the final 13 games of a season or something to make the playoffs.
Broncos and Texans play this week.
That's huge. That's a huge game. Talking about the 8 and 9 seed, but it's a huge game. Winner of that puts themselves in the driving. Yeah, winner of that puts themselves in the driving seat. Because again, I think the Browns are going to lose a lot of games here down the stretch with their offense looking abysmal. We'll get to them in a little bit. Again, I think the Steelers secure the 5 seed, and then the Colts. The Colts, they play the Texans. The Colts also play the Steelers coming up. I think the Colts, and then this week, nope, it's not showing their Week 13 matchup yet. But let's just look at the Colts' upcoming schedule.
Titans, Bengals, Steelers, Falcons, Raiders, Texans. So I don't know what to make of the Colts. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. That's kind of what you get when you have a backup quarterback. But
with the breaking news of Jonathan Taylor is getting that thumb surgery, so
that
out about
big.
2 weeks. That helps me. I'm glad to see. All right, let me rephrase. I'm not glad to see it, but my fantasy team, I held on to Zach Moss this whole time. I did not let him go, so that's huge for me, making the playoff push. I'm getting my running backs back. Kyron Williams back. Zach Moss ready to rock.
Zach Moss is available in any of your fantasy leagues. I don't think he's available in ours, which is why I'm okay saying this.
He's on my team. He's on my team.
Last time he had a significant role in the Colts offense, he put up big numbers.
He went crazy. So. But yeah, I think the Bills are pretty close to being eliminated at 6-6. Bengals at 5-6 with Jake Browning, they're done. Raiders at 5-7. Aiden O'Connell, I think they're done. Chargers, poor Chargers, man, 4-7, they're done. Everybody else below on this list is done. So it's pretty much, yeah, Texans, Broncos this week is going to be huge to set them which team goes forward there, and then the Colts. Not the hardest schedule I've ever seen in the world.
No,
but definitely
it's winnable.
Definitely that game against the Texans could be very deciding final week.
That game could decide which one of those two teams makes or gets one of those final spots. Where's that? I gotta see. Where's that game at? That one is in Indianapolis. So Colts would have home field advantage too.
Wow. Yeah, and then the Texans' upcoming schedule, they got obviously the Broncos, then the Jets, then the Titans, then the Browns, then the Titans again, then the Colts.
So because I looked at the Jaguars too, the entire AFC South of those 3 teams, it's winnable.
Yeah, I mean
like
the Browns have a tough schedule coming up, kind of. I mean, they got the Rams, who is an up-and-coming NFC team right now, then the Jags, then the Bears, then the Texans, then the Jets and the Bengals. So that's like probably like a 3-3 split on those games or something like that. So
that's 10 wins.
Does 10 wins enough to get you in though? I don't know. Because they could have 3 or 4 teams at the bottom here that finish with 10 wins. Then you get real crazy with tiebreakers and stuff and ors, and things get messy.
I'm excited for that though. I like it more when you head into that final week of the year, and there's still a lot of scenarios.
That's the best part is like the scenarios, the this win and this loss, and your scoreboard watching. And unfortunately, last year I had to watch the Jets scoreboard when they lost 9-6 against Miami, but against Skylar Thompson. But unfortunately, I've been on the wrong side of watching those scoreboards a lot because Steelers always find a way to come into Week 17 with just everything on the line plus more. So. I'm hoping we don't got to worry about that this year. Just win some games, and then Week 17 at Baltimore isn't going to be like the biggest thing in the world. Hopefully, you don't gotta. Kenny doesn't have to throw another last-second game winner. That'd be great if he did. But
the last time
Week 18.
Maybe that's what I was talking about.
All right, Week 17 still sounds right.
Yeah, it does. Week 18 is weird.
Like 10-7 record usually is what it's. Sounds right. 10-7, 11-6. Like thinking 11 and
11-5 will always be ingrained in my brain for like a normal winning schedule for a playoff team. 11-5.
It's amazing how many people still like predict teams to go 8-8.
It just sounds right.
Yeah.
It just sounds right.
It's
Drew,
better, though. It's better. You're either a winning team or a losing team. So you get more conviction with what you need to do in the offseason that way.
That way you're not the Steelers going 8-8 and maintaining Mike Tomlin's winning
Saved
record.
Mike Tomlin's contract and his job and his career and his legacy going 8-8.
Drew, what'd you think of our boy CJ?
I think he's awesome. And the best play of the game was a play that didn't count for, I think, illegal motion or something. He launched a ball about 60 yards to take Dell.
Beautiful.
And it was beautiful. You know my feelings on that. But yeah, he keeps proving that he was the best quarterback in the draft. Maybe you make arguments about, going to a better situation than Carolina. I think that's probably a good. That's definitely the case.
Almost every day, it seems like.
I wouldn't say the Texans are like some sort of, powerhouse situation there, but
Both
definitely on the
true.
up and coming,
Yeah.
So, but still, there's things that he's doing that set him apart from a normal rookie, like just throws that he's making, the accuracy that
records
he's making
he's setting.
Yeah, it's cool to see. Dillon, you've been saying it, and I think it's pretty obvious. Like the Texans are starting to become a team that is going to be competing for the AFC for a long time to come. Barring anything crazy. So really good to see, especially
like
really good to see. Let's hope it's better than the Bengals because Joe Burrow got injured, and then they went to the Super Bowl, and then he got injured some more. So, anyways, he looks great. Can't say any more good things about him. I mean, he's awesome. Still some work to do. Obviously for a rookie, but he's awesome.
I mean, yeah, there's work to do, but this offseason, this upcoming offseason, is where a lot of those rookie quarterbacks make their biggest transition because you're going from, this last offseason, he was preparing for the draft. That's a different type of training. Now, he is training as a quarterback between 2023 and 2024. So, I think the sky's the limit for him, and he's only going to continue to decline. If this is how he's performing as a rookie,
if he makes
a leap, there's still mistakes. Like,
if he makes a leap, man, he's gonna be in that top 10 discussion. In all honesty,
I agree.
It would, sky is the limit for them,
and
he might already be the best quarterback in the AFC South.
Yeah, the other one that's up for debate there is Trevor Lawrence, who did have a good game. Calvin Ridley is starting to become more in the fold again. Like, there was like a couple weeks where like he was wearing 0 and he was getting 0
because Zay Jones wasn't there.
This is true. Back to your point from last week. Zay Jones, he's playing somehow, and Calvin Ridley is going off, and that's definitely helping Trevor Lawrence. He had 360 in this one.
Zay Jones drawing them double teams, I guess. That's what's going on.
Everyone's too focused on Zay Jones. Calvin Ridley runs free.
Never mind. Let's move on to the next game. All right, this is a game that I jumped to too soon. Still in the AFC South. Colts, Buccaneers. We've already talked about the Colts a little bit. The Buccaneers, I feel for Baker.
Trash.
I feel like
Baker is not trash, but
I think the situation around
him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's valid.
The situation around him is not good. Baker is fine. He's not the problem.
The roster's just the roster's just not good.
Coaching's not good.
Coaching's not good. A lot of people aren't happy with Todd Bowles. A lot of people are saying he's going to be fired.
Probably.
He probably will be.
I think we put him on that list, didn't we?
I think I did. I think I did.
The other day, Schefter said that there could be like 10 coaches fired. So like we were trying to like predict which 10 coaches, and I think you mentioned the Bucs. I think it was
Yeah.
mentioned at some point.
It was. It was whoever doesn't win the NFC South is going to get fired.
Yep.
So,
Yeah,
like
because
if the Falcons
the
win,
only-
yeah.
Saints and Bucks coaches are gone. Panthers coach is already gone. The only coach that's safe in the NFC South is the one that wins. The other three, it's probably all three fired, seeing as we already
The
have
winner
one
shouldn't even be safe either.
facts. But
Yeah, that's just you don't get fired for going to the playoffs, though.
unless you're John Fox in Denver.
Yeah.
Jim Caldwell.
I mean, the Falcons shouldn't even be good. They don't have a quarterback. But
The rest of the division's bad, so
yeah. I feel like the Falcons are like ahead of their little mini rebuild that they're doing. They're a good quarterback away from being a competent team, but I think we also thought that about the Saints too. So I don't know how to feel.
well, the Saints have a bad quarterback. So
Right. You would have thought the Falcons would not have drafted first round running back. I think that confused a lot of people.
it's almost like when there was rumors of them being interested in Lamar Jackson, they should have pulled the trigger.
Probably.
Imagine if Lamar was on the Falcons.
They would be nuts right now, I think. And the Ravens would be dookie.
They would be nuts and still finding ways to not get the ball to Kyle Pitts and Drake London. And
They would have moved Lamar to running back, probably.
Yeah.
So
insane. But yeah, I feel for Baker. And hopefully he's given another shot next year because I think he still looks fine. He looks.
I think they will because what other direction are they going to go at QB? Like
it just
a
depends on
a new regime will come in, probably, and he's going to be like a perfect little bridge quarterback for them. Just play a couple years, probably not win a lot of games, and put them in position to get that high pick for a QB at some point in the future. That's probably their next couple of years. So if you're a Tampa Bay fan, I'm sorry for the next 5 years in advance.
But they won a Super Bowl.
They did.
So.
You sold out. You got your Super Bowl, and now you will not see one for a longer time than other people.
But I would rather
It'd
be
be
in that
worth it.
position.
It is, in my personal experience. So
I think we can move on to the next game. Trash. These two teams absolutely just
this is disgusting.
dog water. This is Big Ten West football, and I don't even know if it's that. I think Big Ten West football is better than what we saw in a 10-7 win for the Giants over the Patriots. And Danny, we're Tommy DeVito. Danny. When the kicker for the Patriots missed, it was a piss missile to the left. Like he just.
Robert Kraft called that from the box. He
he's
said
like,
he missed
hey,
his
Ryland,
kick.
that's my boy. That's my boy.
I know. I
He
didn't
said,
want to
"Move
call him
this
out
to
like
the
that.
left or you're cut."
Yeah. I
Patriots are
saw
so bad, and
I saw a very pro Mac Jones TikTok the other day, and I was kind of like, oh, maybe he isn't as trash. But he is. He's garbage.
He's terrible.
At
The
the
worst
beginning
part-
of the season, I thought he was doing pretty good, and then
Yeah. I mean, he's got no weapons.
around the Cowboys game. He turned into
Let's
a bum.
let's just remember he's got no weapons. Bill O'Brien, his offensive coordinator, like made Alabama worse when he went there, and now he's there. So, I mean, he's also not good, but like nothing about that side of the ball in New England is good, and he's just one piece of that entire thing. And yeah, they're gonna get Caleb Williams. It's actually crazy that this is happening. I'm sorry, Gill. I am, but Caleb Williams is gonna be a bust, right? So it's not gonna matter because he's gonna have nobody to throw to. So
There'll be
again,
bad
Drake
coaching
May.
there, and
they are a Drake May kind of team, I think.
what are you trying to say?
You know what we're saying,
He's a
Gil.
good fit. He's already on the East Coast. He doesn't cry after games. He, yeah.
Lunch pail kind of guy.
The one thing I saw was Mac Jones is bad, but there's a reason he's the quarterback that's still playing. Is because the other quarterback options are terrible as well. Like,
Why don't you start Malik Cunningham at this point? That would be more fun. I don't know.
Is he still on the team?
He's probably on the practice squad or something. I know he got cut at one point, but I thought he circled back to the practice squad. I don't know, though.
I can't follow.
Or Will Greer. Don't they have Will Greer, too?
I think they just cut Will Greer. I think they cut Will Greer heading into this game.
Oh, poor guy. He's been on a bunch of teams this year.
Yeah, because he was on the Bengals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He got cut from the Cowboys after the third week of the preseason. Went to the Bengals. Patriots signed him off the practice squad, I think.
Yeah, like
And
right
then
before they played the
cut
Bengals
him.
or something.
Yeah.
Right before they played the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh,
Yep.
They thought he was going to help.
They thought he knew all the secrets of the universe. I think that's all the time we need to spend on this absolute crap show of a game, though, to be honest.
Probably too much time.
Yeah, it was too much.
We did.
Same thing with this next game. Carolina at Tennessee. Tennessee winning 17-10. I haven't seen a single Will Levis highlight since his first game where he threw 4 tutties. Like, I haven't seen him since.
It was a loss, but 2 weeks ago he had a bomb to DeAndre Hopkins. But the only thing I saw in this game was Bryce Young throwing a screen on the final play of the game.
That was so sad of a TikTok.
That should probably get you fired as a coach.
And it did.
Who's calling
it got everybody
plays.
fired.
Everyone was fired after that.
The owner,
that would be my last straw too. You know how I feel about screens. Yeah, I would fire everyone as well.
The owner was dropping F-bombs after the game.
Yeah,
so that was kind of like the tell-all that, like, oh, well, changes are about to be made.
His press conference today was strange. He said, like, yeah, we have confidence in the pick and Bryce Young, but it didn't feel like that was.
No, he was saying that they were planning on taking C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
And then they were stuck with the first overall pick that they traded up for.
Yeah, because they wanted to go to 2, and how I read it somewhere else was like some sort of 3-way trade to get Houston to go to 1, Panthers at 2, and then Bears at 9. But they didn't want to do that, so they jumped to 1. And it's like, so your first plan was to go to 2 and take CJ. That was your first option. You had to resort to. I mean, going to 1, they still could have taken CJ. So I guess
you left me with 2 options instead of just 1. What do I do?
I feel like the Texans would have took CJ Stroud at number 1 anyways. I feel like he was their favorite guy on the board. I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't know. I'm sure. I'm sure they're glad that that's how it worked out. But
yeah,
I think
all
2 things. I think
wanted CJ.
Yeah, I think Bryce Young has not looked good, and also the Panthers are very bad.
Yeah, both
are true.
And he's immediately getting his entire coaching staff replaced.
Yep.
There's no help coming from the draft. It's going to be a while.
Thing.
It's a bad place to be.
Yep. Who's going to take that job?
Matt Canada. Matt Canada's head coach of Carolina. He's going to fix Bryce Young. He's going to throw more screens than ever before.
I saw they'd have interest in Jim Harbaugh, but Jim Harbaugh, unless you're
maybe they go
I'm not leaving Michigan for the Panthers unless I'm fired.
Willingly.
It's going to be some coordinator, right? It's going to be some coordinator. What if it's like a Jim Schwartz, defensive coordinator of the Browns currently? Get another chance at being
as a coordinator.
Probably. I mean, he already was a head coach and flamed out in Detroit, but I don't know, man.
If you're Jim Schwartz, I'd rather be coaching the defense of the Browns than
me too. But
my coworker said today, he was like, Dan Quinn, you are a Panther. I was like, dude, he would never leave Micah Parsons to go work with the Panthers.
It's gonna be to go to Denver.
It's going to be a recycle. Yeah. So one of these 10 coaches that got fired, obviously not including Frank Reich, is going to go there. So like Todd Bowles or something is going to go across town.
I don't know if Todd
Whatever
Bowles
it is, they're not getting a good option. They're not getting a top candidate. They're not getting a Ben Johnson.
Staley's going to Carolina.
They're not getting Eric Bieniemy.
Can I interest you in one Nathaniel Hackett?
Robert Saleh when he gets fired. Going to Carolina.
R.I.P.
Kellen Moore. You are a Panther.
Maybe
more. That's an idea.
Eric
It's going to be
Bieniemy.
something like that. It's going to be an offensive coordinator that only gets one offer to be a head coach, and they're just going to take it just to see.
Brian Johnson, the current OC for the Eagles.
I
First
saw
ye-
that.
First year,
Bryce
he's
Young,
in.
after his first drive of doing 40 QB sneaks, his jersey's all ripped up.
Which is funny because all I ever see is people, especially Eagles fans, complaining about the offensive coordinator.
Yep.
So I'd be surprised if he was a top option. But
weird about complaining when you're 10-1 or 9-1 or whatever
when
they
you
are.
score 30 rushing touchdowns a year, it makes you look better, I guess.
Well, I think I even said a couple times, like, their play calling sucks, but the talent and everything else makes up for it.
Or maybe we see a college coach go there. Maybe like Alabama's offensive coordinator or something.
Last time the Panthers did that, it didn't work out too well, so I don't think they'll want to do it again.
Yeah,
Probably
they're still
not.
paying him.
Considering they're still paying him money, and that was 2 coaches ago. I think that probably left a sour taste in their mouth.
And the thing is, like, Matt Rule was fired in the middle of the season. Frank Reich was fired in the middle of the season. It's just toxic.
Dude, they should have just gave the job to Steve Wilkes, man. They won games after they gave him the job last year.
Well, everyone's talking about how this owner is kind of he doesn't have the mentality to not, like, I don't know if this was an exact quote from him or just someone who knew him that, kind of talked about his stance on things, but he was like, he doesn't understand why the football experts in the organization don't get like every decision 100% correct. And so that's why it's like something goes wrong and he wants to change right now because obviously.
Sounds like
but in football, you can't just expect something to just flip.
They're going to be
Panthers
bad
are gonna be
forever, it sounds like.
For long.
Forever. Yeah, forever. The other team that played in this game, because there was 2 teams that played in this game, was the Titans.
Was there?
Yeah, so I looked up Will Levis's stats just because I was curious. He does have multiple 2-touchdown games this year, just saying. But he has not gone over 200 yards in his last 3 games. His yardages is 199, 158, and 185. He did throw 2 tutties against Jacksonville 2 weeks ago, but that was another game they lost. So, yeah, not super great numbers, but that's only his 5th start of the year.
The Titans can only win at home.
Yeah. Yep.
The PFF podcast always talks about how the Titans haven't won a road game in quite a bit of time. And they're still winning. Pretty much all their wins come at home. The only home game they lost this year, they were the home team in London, so it doesn't count.
Interesting.
Good to know.
All right.
This home team did not win. It was a road team, the Rams, getting a 37-14 win against the Cardinals, the Cardinals, they've had a couple weeks where it's like, wow, we got to win, or, oh, wow, we were so close. This one, they just were never really in.
What's the mood in Arizona?
Red alert.
What's the red? Or what's the word down there?
Red alert. Kyler Murray is a bum.
We're back to that.
Yep.
He's a bum again?
He started after
it was
that
double
first
XP
win
weekend,
when he first came back. that first win when he came back, man, he was the guy. He was yep. Don't trade this man for Josh Allen. Don't trade this man for anything. He's the guy. Now now this, last week they cooled on him. This week they're pretty down on him. So
are they back on the Caleb Williams train?
They're not even in position
not
for
really,
that, though, are they?
They're not,
right.
Yeah. Well, they're sitting at 2 right now, I think.
Okay.
So they're in, depending on whatever the heck the Bears want to do. They're either Drake May or
I will say
the Bears, for whatever reason, keep Fields.
I will say Kyler's going to throw for multiple touchdowns this week because Patrick Peterson said he can't throw from the pocket because God did not bless him with height. So he will probably go for like
He is
300.
true though. That was not a fake statement.
No, it was not. But every single time Pat Pete has called out the other team, their quarterback, they just go for just
And all of those
all the
touchdowns are going to
yards.
be on Pat Pete's head.
100%. Yeah. I mean, even though he like barely plays these days, they probably will be. It's been nice to see him not on the field though. I will give that much. JPJ all of a sudden went from not playing for the first month and a half of the season to shadowing Jamar Chase and holding him to 36 yards. But anyways,
Let's
we're
get back
past
to
Steelers.
Arizona.
Yeah, sorry. That was a side mission.
Trash. They're very bad.
Stafford with
Yeah.
4 touchdowns and Kyron Williams just being a dog.
Dude, I love Kyron Williams so much, man. He came back and just gave me another fantasy win. That's what he does. He's got 11 touchdowns in 9 games or something, or maybe it's 12 now because that stat came up in the middle of that game, and I think he scored again. So, yeah, he's just a dog. Are the Rams back? Are they going to make the playoffs? Yes or no, Drew and Gill?
No.
Make the playoffs?
Yes, that is the question.
Let's see. They play the Browns this week. I think they beat the Browns. What's their current record? 5-6.
5-6.
All right, so 6-6. 6-7 when they lose to the Ravens. 7-7 when they beat the Commanders. 8-7 when they beat the Saints. 9-7 when they beat the Giants. 9-8 when they lose to the 49ers. 9-8 could get you in the
unless the
playoff.
49ers rest all their players that week.
Unless the 49ers are resting their starter.
They are only half of a game out of the playoffs right now. I mean, if the Seahawks like lose every game for the rest of the year, then they are tied for the 7th seed with the Packers.
You guys remember when I took the Rams?
Yeah,
It's looking pretty good right now.
I took the Saints. Man.
I'm just right now.
The
I'm just
Browns are
relying
looking
on
good.
I'm just relying
for a
on the
while.
Browns just completely crapping the bed the rest of the way, and I'm gonna look like a genius, and I'm gonna love that and appreciate that. But the Rams, I mean, they play the Browns this week. If they're able to beat the Browns, which I think they should be able to do, that's going to help
Brownies.
propel them. Because I really only see 2 losses, and it's the Ravens and the 49ers, who we confirmed last week's going to be the Super Bowl matchup. So if you're only losing to the Super Bowl teams, Browns, Commanders, Saints, Giants, you should go 4-0. You'll probably go 3-1 there, but
Yeah, I wouldn't let this game get you too hype on the Rams here. The Cardinals are bad.
They are 2-10. The Cardinals.
They beat the Cowboys. I knew that was coming. I'll just get it out of the way. We lost to the Cardinals. I get it.
I wasn't
I
gonna
get
say
it.
you lost to Josh Dobbs. That's a different team, man.
dude,
different
the
team.
Eagles only
We lost to Josh Dobbs on fresh into a team.
Right,
Once
he didn't know
once
names
settles
yet.
in,
He didn't know names yet.
Once he settles in, he starts doing terrible. But
the Eagles
if
lost.
if you put him
to the
out
Jets.
there,
He doesn't.
you sign him on Saturday, and he's playing Sunday, he'll be the best quarterback in the league.
He just runs around. He plays recess football out there, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can't
Anyways,
play in structure.
We'll get to that.
the Rams did demolish the Cardinals. But the Rams, the rest of the season, their other games haven't looked good. So
They're very hit or miss.
I don't really, and for that reason, I don't see them I don't see this as like a stepping stool for them to start stacking wins and being consistent.
My opinion of the Rams is no different today than it was a week ago. I just think that they are one. I think they're better than the remaining games they have on their schedule, or the remaining teams, except for Ravens and 49ers. Now, if they're able to beat, the Commanders, you never know with the Commanders. The other teams they should be able to beat. The Giants.
I just want to say in the beginning of the year, the Rams were decent and winning a lot of games, mainly because of Stafford and Kyron Williams. And then Kyron Williams got hurt for many weeks, and so did Cooper Kupp, and so did Stafford. So I think this team is better than their record indicates. I just don't know how much better.
And we'll find out. I mean, can you win the games? They're going to be in a spot where they should win these games, like this week against the Browns. If they lose against the Browns, I'll come here next week and tell you they're not making the playoffs. Like,
Pretty good bet. They got to win.
yep. You got to win these games. You got to win the games that you're supposed to win, and that starts this week against the Browns.
Speaking
I
of,
think we can move on. There we go. Broncos. 29-12. The Broncos just continue to roll. Browns they're there. Scorigami this week.
Yeah.
This week.
I can't believe the Steelers lost to the Browns, man.
Their
offense is so dookie.
They don't have
can't do
anybody
anything.
left.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, it's been
Even
unfortunate.
Amari
like
Cooper's
their injuries. Yeah,
Amari Cooper is getting drops. Like when he's dropping the ball, it's going to be a bad day.
He also got killed on a hospital ball.
he did.
Hung him out to dry and got his ribs shattered.
Who threw that? PJ Walker.
Yes. I think so.
The minute PJ Walker stepped onto that football field, game just went downhill for the Browns.
Yeah, I don't know if Amari has any. I haven't seen if he's injured after the game, but I mean, he got rocked. Full extension going up to get the ball and gets blasted in the ribs. He was on the ground for a good little minute there after that. So I don't know.
Okay. I think Miles
Still,
Garrett got
either
hurt.
way,
that can mean a lot.
Can't leave your guys out to dry like that. Yeah, the offense is terrible. Kind of like the Jets, but in orange.
I cannot wait to go watch these two play each other. It's going to be so miserable.
The Browns
Imagine
and the
being
Jets
called the
play
Browns
each other.
and your number one color
Thursday
is
night
orange.
football. Oh.
No, man, you gotta be kidding
It's right
me.
after Christmas too. It's the end of the year. It's so bad.
Dude, it doesn't get any worse than that.
Do they make Thursday night games bad on purpose?
I don't remember
I
a
don't
good
know.
Thursday night game in a long time.
The Ravens
remember
Bengals was supposed to be, and then Burrow got hurt.
I remember even like last year, there was like the first 8 weeks of the year were just awful Thursday night football games. Amazon paid all that money to just put up a stinker every week.
They're doing fine. I saw a stat about how many more Prime subscriptions they got since they've been doing Thursday night. So I think they're doing all right.
Yeah.
They're fine. How many more wins do the Broncos? I mean, the Broncos 6-5.
They do have a nice looking schedule the rest of the way.
Texans, Chargers, Lions, Pats, Chargers, Raiders. So I think they'll split with the Chargers. I think we went over this last week.
We definitely did. 1, 2. I see 3 wins. So that puts them at 9-8. I don't think that gets you in. But they could win 4 times.
Yeah. They'll probably split with the Chargers. I would imagine.
I mean, you got to beat the Texans. That's a must-win game for both teams. So.
But yeah, the one thing I saw after this game was they asked Sean Payton about Scorigami, and they had to explain what Scorigami was to Sean Payton. And they're like,
he loved
what's
it.
the significance of that?
He loved it, though,
like,
didn't he?
it's never happened. 29-12, never happened before. And they were like, yeah, you've had 2 Scorigamis this year. 29-12 and then 70-20.
That's terrible.
How do you feel about that?
He just kind of like shook it off. Like,
He seems like a guy that would not care about Scorigami.
probably not, no.
I
Let's move
care.
on.
I very much care about Scorigami.
Every time there's a Scorigami, we share it in the chat. Or it gets to a point where it's like, you know what, this game sucks, but Scorigami's on the line. We are rooting for Scorigami.
It's important.
It really is. What's not?
There's been a lot this year.
Yeah, it feels like there has been. 31-17 is definitely not Scorigami. That's what the Chiefs beat the Raiders. Poor Raiders. The Raiders were up.
They almost
early.
had it. Almost had it.
T-shirt on upset watch there for a quarter or so.
Aiden O'Connell looks usable.
So what did they do with Aiden O'Connell? Like,
Start
What's
him the
next
rest of the
look
year.
like? Well, the rest of the year, yeah, but do they give him like the Desmond Ritter treatment next and Sam Howell treatment, where it's like we are going to see what we have in you for next year?
Are they going to be in position to get anyone else?
Probably
Probably
not.
not.
And you don't even know who your head coach is going to be next year. So I
Yeah.
feel like
I
we got to
think
figure that out
next year
first.
I don't know. I could see him blowing it up even more.
Well, I mean, Jimmy G is going to
far
be
as-
back, right? He's going to be back from injury. They
Oh.
paid him like 3 years. No, they're going to get rid of him.
What's he out in his contract? If they can get out of that, they're going to get out of that.
I don't know. Isn't he back now, or is he injured?
I think.
I thought Aiden O'Connell's just straight up the starter.
I think he's just
Oh.
starting. I think when
I haven't
Antonio
been paying
Pierce,
attention to that team enough.
yeah, because they fired. I remember they fired their head coach, offensive coordinator, and quarterback all in the same week.
Oh, all right. Jimmy
Yeah,
G,
so
career
maybe
backup.
he is back, but he's the
Yeah,
backup.
I mean, you see how Aiden
You're
O'Connell
not
plays.
gaining anything with Jimmy G at the helm.
No.
You're not gaining anything. Aiden O'Connell, you can, hope that he, starts to develop and turns into a,
At the
good
very
quarterback,
least,
but-
you're developing a backup quarterback.
A capable backup quarterback, which, as we've learned this year, is important to have.
Yeah, I mean,
backups have been inserted into games this year. It's a ridiculous amount.
his numbers aren't insane. He had 75 yards passing against the Bears a month and a half ago, but 4 touchdowns on the year to 6 interceptions isn't good. He had arguably his best game of the year against the Chiefs for 248 and a touchdown, no interception.
And
his best
It's a
rating
good
of the
Chiefs
year.
team. I mean, the
Yeah,
Chiefs
I
defense.
The
mean-
Chiefs defense, yeah. And
Yeah.
he's a 4th-round rookie. I mean,
I think is he a 5th round rookie? I don't know.
that was 4th.
At that point, it's the same thing.
He was on day 3. He's a day 3 quarterback, not named Brock Purdy on the Avengers. So yeah, I think you're
Devontae Adams is a Jet, though, so that's
Probably.
why I kind of I see the blow up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the Tampa Bay thing. Like you blow it up and you keep the quarterback in place for a little bit until you have the ability to go elsewhere. Like next year, Raiders and Tampa Bay might have picks 1 and 2, and who are the quarterbacks going to be at that point? I have no idea. Like Carson Beck and Kyle McCord and Quinn Ewers, I guess. Probably Quinn Ewers, number 1.
So
He's not
ugly.
coming out this year?
No, he said he's going back to Texas, and
Oh, I didn't see that.
Manning is very upset. He's gonna have to sit another year.
He was spotted in Missouri.
Interesting.
So
I don't know
this team might
I don't know what
also
to do
be
with
looking
that.
to blow it up because their schedule is only getting harder, and they just suffered a devastating overtime loss to the Eagles. Bills lose 37-34 in OT. Josh Allen 0 for 6 in overtimes, even though they changed overtime rules for him. Granted, they were postseason overtime rules, but still hasn't gotten an overtime victory.
He ain't gonna make it to the postseason. So
He ain't going to make it to the postseason, and I think Sean McDermott is going to go. I think he's going to be let go, and then from there, who knows?
It's criminal how this team is not making it to the playoffs. I mean, I know we were low on them this year, that their window was closing, but I didn't think it was slammed shut. I mean,
Right.
my gosh, so many losses.
And going into this year,
The Bills have 0 luck.
Yeah,
part of the reason
On the luck chart, they are 4th to last. So
Jeez. Yeah.
it's like
is that the not
the horse
point
collar turn into intentional grounding, and then the field goal gets blocked. Like the
Jake Elliott has a
59-yard field goal to
Oh,
tie it
yeah.
in the rain.
That was a fantastic
Gabe
kick,
Davis
though.
wide
That
open
was.
in overtime for the game-winning touchdown and miscommunication, and it's just like, I don't know, man.
That's Buffalo, man.
you-
They
if you
lost
can't
4
put
Super
that
Bowls
stuff-
in a row, man. They lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. This is Buffalo.
Yeah,
At
thank
its
you,
core.
Buffalo. Love you, Buffalo. You're the best. It's tough, it's funny because you see like Josh Allen is still playing at a good level. The offense technically is one of the best offenses in the league still, but they just can't. They just can't win these games. They just
Wasn't there a
couple
Party
things that
Chat
happen in
Sports
each game.
member that was mad at me when I said that their defense is bad? Didn't that happen a couple weeks ago?
So that the roster is getting
not
worse.
good. I said this,
Yeah.
and then I was getting yelled at that the roster of the Bills is
Dude,
really good.
what's number? It's Rasul Douglas, 31.
Yeah.
On the Bills. That dude's a bum.
Yeah.
If I was a Bills fan, I would wish physical harm upon him. Dude,
hold on. I just noticed Gill has a draft hat on. I'm so sorry, Gill.
Gill, that's
last week. Remember last week how you guys were like, "You're going to pull out the NFL hat." This was the closest I had.
There it is.
What year is that? What year is that?
19, I think.
2019.
Oh, who was the first round pick that year for the Jets?
Kyler, I think.
No.
Oh, for us?
Yeah.
Mekhi Becton, I believe. No, it would have been
Quinnen Williams at number 3.
It was Quinnen.
Yeah, that's a good hat to have. It's a good one to have.
Because Joe Douglas wasn't there yet.
Yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Rasul Douglas. Yeah, actual bum. Just a few plays, and it's like he was Deontay Johnson, but on defense.
Yeah.
He's just lollygagging out there. Like, what are you doing?
That's bad.
It was bad. The last play, the Jalen Hurts touchdown, he's sitting on the goal line, doesn't even make an attempt to go at Jalen, and then just like punches at the ball as Jalen is crossing the. Like, what are you doing, dude?
Did you see? Not to
what
completely cut you off there, but did you see Micah Hyde the video of Micah Hyde coming in for the like?
Yeah, I saw that.
Tried tackling Jalen on the way to the end zone.
I think if he was trying to slide tackle, he would have done it. Maybe he decided he didn't want to do it at the last second.
I don't know, man. The Bills are done. They're done.
Because the schedule doesn't get easy.
No.
It's not an easy schedule. Like we've discussed multiple times. It's difficult. Like, they had to win this game. They go to the Chiefs, then the Cowboys. Chargers should be winnable, but by then the season's going to be over for them.
I promise you,
they're going to be
Josh
6-9.
I promise you, Josh Allen is not going to be a Bill in a couple of years. I promise.
You know who else is not going to remain with their team that I've come to realize lately, it feels like? Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Probably.
You know what? I actually think Herbert does, because I think if they get a new head coach in place like Ben Johnson, I think he stays a Charger for a long time, because their roster is actually good. Just the head coach is awful. So I think if they get a head coach in place, kind of like the Sean Payton effect of the Denver Broncos now, I think the Chargers turn out to be good, and Herbert's a Charger for a long time. Just a gut feeling of you saying that.
What the Chargers do at head coach this offseason will determine Justin Herbert's future.
Or Herbert completes his Drew Brees arc and goes to New Orleans.
Interesting.
For no reason other than Drew Brees did it. That's the only only link.
It doesn't make sense at all, but
it makes zero sense. But Drew Brees did it one time, so
it's like Aaron Rodgers following his Brett Favre arc.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, if Herbert's going to go anywhere, he's going to the NFC. So I guess it's kind of possible.
There's a lot of bad teams in the NFC South. There's a lot of bad teams.
It's not impossible. It's just maybe not likely. But yeah, the Bills are going to go into that Chargers game.
Justin Herbert, you are a Viking.
Dude, he will become
a manifest that, man. Don't you manifest that. No,
it's all right. They're taking JJ McCarthy.
JJ McCarthy is a Viking.
What game are we talking about here?
We're talking about
Buffalo
Bills,
and Philly. Yeah, the end of Buffalo.
Eagles luck their way into another win. Tails all this time. Refs cannot see anything that the Eagles do wrong.
Dude,
They're
you
the
ruined it.
Golden
You
Boys.
ruined it, man. You sent that tweet when Jalen Hurts had like 13 yards passing and 2 interceptions,
Yep.
and then all of a sudden
And
just
then he
went
balled out.
sicko mode.
Yeah, you know why he's so good at games when they're behind? It's because he puts them in a hole to have to come back because he plays so
Dang,
bad.
it's almost like okay, you changed your sentence there at the very end, but it's almost like that's how Dak was good a couple years ago before his ankle shattered. Because they had to come back every single game, and he was throwing for 500 yards.
He wasn't putting them in the hole, though. The
I know
defense was
that's what you
non-existent.
said. That's what you said. So it changed it, but it's weird.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Oh, well.
speaking of Herbert,
There you go.
Lost
Ravens
again.
20-10 at the Chargers. And there was a time in this game where I thought maybe the Chargers could, but I
what
never
happened to
felt confident.
Austin Eckler, man? What happened to that guy? I saw a thing where his top speed on a run the other day was 13 miles an hour.
He got every carry last year, and he's just breaking down.
Yeah.
It's
The
that
dude
time.
led the league in touchdowns. I mean,
He's at that age.
26.
Why I was looking to move off of him in Dynasty.
Yeah, he's
Don't tell anyone.
Jalen
I'm gonna try
Warren's
to
the next
trade him.
Austin Eckler. Anyways, Baltimore wins again. They stay atop of the AFC. Closer game than perhaps expected, but Staley, of course, guides his team in the absolute worst direction possible. Herbert loses again. Yeah, the end is near for the Staley experiment in LA.
I thought it was going to be this week.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not. I mean, who the Chargers got this week?
Patriots, come on.
If they lose to the Patriots, yeah, he's gone. But they'll probably win that game.
And then they host the Broncos. So December 10th. After that Broncos,
Yeah.
I see them moving up. Because at some point you got to think.
You got to give it to Kellen Moore to finish the season, man.
Right.
You got to do
you
it.
would think. But if they haven't done it yet, they may just not do it. Because there's some
Maybe
owners.
Staley has blackmail on the GM or the owner.
Maybe. There's
There's
also
gotta be
some.
something. He's holding something over their head because he should not have a job.
There's some owners that think firing a coach in the middle of the season makes your job look unattractive and look toxic, which it's all situation dependent. Like, I remember the Jets didn't want to fire Adam Gase in the middle of the year because they thought the job's not going to look attractive if we're moving off of a coach early. So you have coaches that have the wrong mindset, or owners, GMs that have that wrong mindset of, oh, well,
Yeah.
we want to make this look attractive, but you have to do what's best for the team. Like, you're still trying to make playoffs.
I get, not wanting to fire somebody. But if there's people that should not be employed by the National Football League, they should not be there anymore. Matt Canada, example A. Staley, example B. Like, at a certain point, you just should not be in charge.
They have, 3 wins?
4. They're 4-7.
4?
If they fire him, no one's going to blame the Chargers and be like, oh, that's not a good place to be. That's going to be a fantastic place to be.
Exactly. But there's still owners that have that, like, oh, well, if I fire him, then I don't have that. It doesn't look good. Like, you have Justin Herbert. You have a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, you have a franchise quarterback. You get to live in LA. Like, those 2 reasons alone make it immediately the best, one of the best situations.
Newest stadium in the league.
Yeah.
Second
You're
newest.
chilling. No fans, but, no fans to
none.
call for your head, so it's all right.
No fans.
That's probably why Staley still has a job. There's no one saying fire him.
No fans and LA tax, but hey, it is what it is.
I'm sure they're making enough to make up for that.
Move the team back to San Diego, man. Just do it. Won't ever happen, but
they didn't have any fans there either, but they had some diehards, but
it's because they were bad. It's because they were bad.
And in this game, it's not even like it wasn't even like the Ravens played well. They just played better than a poorly coached Chargers. And Zay Flowers, his last touchdown there at the end, I wasn't sure if he was going to run in or if he was going to go down because it was within the 2-minute warning. It would have put the Ravens up 10, but he just broke it loose. And there was a moment there where I wasn't sure if he was going to go down or not. Glad he did score because, nice celebration there. But this game could have easily just been 13-10, 16-10. Very defensive. Lamar looked meh, but still, when you're the Ravens playing at the level they are, and the Chargers are playing at the level they are, that's what you get, I guess. A game that was probably... It was terrible. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I got to a point in this game where I switched from Monday Night Football to Monday Night Raw. Because
Monday Night Raw was electric, though. I'll be honest
it
with
was.
you.
Randy Orton was back. CM Punk was there. I'm like, all right, this is electric. The Vikings Bears was not. 12-10. The Vikings were the only team that scored a touchdown, and they lost. And I hate that Cam isn't here, because I really wanted to hear how he felt. But Josh Dobbs throwing 4 interceptions. DJ Moore had a great game.
What's up with the Bears throwing only screens?
They don't trust Justin Fields, would be my guess. That or they have the worst bottom 5 offensive coordinator, because I think worst still goes to the Jets.
They saw DJ Moore take
now.
a screen to the house in preseason. They said, "Yep, that's our game plan."
If you remember, DJ Moore did it, and then Khalil Herbert did it like the very next play. Fields Fields was 2 for 2 for like 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, and they were like, "This is the offense for the rest of the year. This is the only thing we're gonna do." Fields does lead. Fields does lead the comeback to kick the field goal for the win. Does hit DJ Moore on a nice in-breaking route in the middle of the field. Nice play to get him in field goal range. I turned this game off clearly when Fields fumbled on the scramble with like 5 minutes left. I was like, "Congrats, Cam! Good win."
Yep.
I was kind of congrats on the win.
I said happy victory Tuesday, and then all of a sudden I get replied to. I get replied to or something, and I go, "Uh-oh." I open up the Snapchat.
So Monday Night Raw had just turned off, and I'm like, "All right, let's see how this game's going." And I turned the game on. I'm like, "Oh, the Bears are like in scoring territory." So I message, "Uh-oh, Dillon, you spoke too soon." And then I message, shout out Joe Buck, by the way, saying that what we've been saying, that the Vikings have returned to the mean. So he clearly listens. That was my takeaway from him saying that the Vikings have returned to the mean. Yeah. Thank you for listening, Joe Buck.
Tell Troy I said hi.
Okay. But terrible, though. What happened to the Kings of the North, Cam? What about the Avengers, Cam? The Avengers Vikings. Come on.
The fact that he isn't here to defend himself just doesn't feel right.
He made that choice. He made that decision to not be here. So,
Josh Dobbs, you either die as the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yep,
he's becoming the villain.
Yep, they're looking at quarterback options this week. Also, speaking of Vikings for this week,
are they really? Dang,
they
gave up on my boy.
They're on a bye week, and they're supposed to activate Justin Jefferson off from IR. I'm like, cool, awesome. Didn't realize they had a bye week. I got 2 or 3 Vikings players on my fantasy team this week, and it's the playoffs in one of my leagues. So
that's tough.
Phenomenal.
Why is the playoffs starting so early? That shouldn't be allowed.
I have no idea. It should be illegal.
That should not be allowed. There's still bye weeks.
Be illegal.
That is just dumb. The commissioner needs to be vetoed and carried out of the league on a stretcher.
Easy. I think he might be listening. He told me the other day that he listened. So let's take it easy on him.
Hey, comment down below if you made it this far, Mr. Commish. We need to have a conversation.
I'm going to be hearing about that one, but still, it is.
Weird. If they don't activate Justin Jefferson, he's out for the year because they opened up his 21-day window. Yep. So this is the last week for them to activate him, and if not, he is out for the year.
And if you're Justin Jefferson,
why would you come back?
Well, I mean, I guess on paper they're 6-6, so
you're gonna get first rounded by the 49ers. Is not gonna be fun.
Oh no. That's who they would play because they're the 7th. That's absolutely.
You don't want that.
Yeah, I wouldn't sign up for that.
We got anything else for week 12?
I don't think so. It was fun. I had the best record in the pick'ems. It was
We're getting
fun. I didn't
close.
even.
We're getting
I think I
close
had a
and
lot of
close to the
fun.
end.
I think I had a lot of fun because I actually didn't watch a lot of the 1 o'clock or the 4 o'clock games because I was at the game and then I was stuck in traffic for 2.5 hours. So, a record timing. I did not leave the parking garage for 45 minutes. It was nuts. I didn't move in the parking garage for at least 30. And sidebar, Cincinnati's orange uniforms do not look nearly as cool in person as they do on the TV. They are
I like their black uniforms.
they're so beautiful on TV, the neon orange, and in person they're just orange. So
Damn. I'm not a big fan of orange, personally, but are we going to get a Pick'ems video here soon?
sorry, yeah, I haven't done one in
I
a
can-
while. I will do one this
Update the
week.
people.
I will do one this week. It was getting hard to crank them out every single week, and then
Three-way
Understandable.
race for first place, and you're
It's-
slacking
yeah,
on us.
they're tied. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry. I
It's a
will. I'll
Nelson-
get it up.
Dylan fell behind, and all of a sudden the Pick'ems videos stopped coming out.
Listen, I had the best record this week. I'm on the come up.
Congratulations! You can put
I'm
your own
only-
little slide on the.
I'm only 6
video.
games back. I'm only 6 games back from the 3-way tie at the top. Yeah, you're right.
Yep. It is a. And I think that means that Drew and I are still tied like all time or something like that, aren't we?
You are currently tied all time for 448 wins apiece.
Look at us. Who would have
I'm
thought?
third with
The
441.
best.
Damn right.
Cam with an
Great minds
all-time
think alike.
record, 103 wins this year. He's on a
Wow.
killer streak, but he's still last.
How about Cade though?
Cade. I
Cade.
mean, he's making a put. Cade finished second in the first year, so he's a viable competitor. Last year he just
Clearly, he's
forgot
tied for
after,
first.
last year he just forgot after week 3, so that kind of puts you on the back foot. But yeah, this year he's again tied for first, and that was one of the preseason storylines of the Pick'ems. Could Cade get his first win after tying for second? So.
Make sure if we do get a Pick'ems video this week, you're looking out for that on the YouTube channel at Party Chat Sports. We'll keep you up to date with everything that we post at Party Chat Sports, either podcast-wise, YouTube-wise, on Twitter or X. Make sure you follow us on TikTok at Party Chat Sports. But do you guys have any final words before we get off?
Go Steelers. Matt Canada, you suck.
Stole my thunder.
Sorry.
How about them Cowboys?
Have a great rest of your week, guys. Make sure you follow at Party Chat Sports.